Hi, my name's Louise. Welcome to my beginner's guide to flower psychometry. This is a very brief introduction to flower psychometry, which is reading flowers for yourself, others, and for healing. So what I'm going to be going through today is going to be looking at the spiritual essence of the flower, brief look at colours, the 4 flower families, the shapes, the 8 different shapes of a flower, the parts of a flower, dowsing for the flower you need, some courses, some resources, some books, some decks. Yes, and so that's what we're going to be going through today. So please stick with the video. So what we'll start off with is I've made some notes because it's quite a big thing to delve into really, but I think the main thing with any type of healing or divination you're learning, there's so much information out there that look, by all means look at everything that you can find, but stick to what you resonates with you and devise your own system for yourself, whether it be tarot, flower divination, crystals, runes, ribbon readings, whatever you do, devise your own system, because you're going to get, otherwise you're going to get overwhelmed and confused like I have done in the past. So I've done a few courses on flower psychometry, and there are so many different meanings of flowers and so many different ways to read it. All I can say is I'll talk a bit about this later on in the video, but yeah, I'd make a list of all the flowers that you know personally, and you maybe find out some new ones you've never heard of. Make a list and find the meanings for them, whether it be from books, courses, off the internet, off Pinterest, or meditating on the flower yourself, what you think it's saying to you, what you associate it with. For example, could be at weddings, could be to do with love and romance. You could look into the Victorian language of flowers. That's a whole subject on its own. But anyway, so we'll start with, when you work with a flower for advice, guidance or healing, you are working with what we call the flower diva. Now this is spelled D-E-V-A. It's the flower diva or spiritual essence of the flower, and this is connected to the nature spirits and the elemental kingdom. Now that's a whole topic in its own, but we're not going to go into that today. So what we're doing basically, you may do this in your own practice. It's a good idea, whatever you're doing divination wise or healing, is to ask permission to work with whatever tool you're using. So this lovely rose here, we would ask the spirit of the rose for permission to work with the rose. So what we can do, I would advise you to meditate. Really, if you're doing any type of spiritual work, is to meditate regularly. So what we can do, we can close our eyes and hold the flower in your hand. We can also, but what if we haven't got flowers because it's winter, for instance, we can also use pictures, oracle cards. Get your own pictures of flowers, cut up magazines, print out pictures of flowers, and we can work with flowers in that way. So we can hold the flower here or the picture, and we can close our eyes and ask for permission to work with the diva or the spirit guide, essence, whatever you want to say in your own mind of the flower, and just see what impressions you get. The first time you do this, the first few times, you might not get anything, but you can start to notice the sensations in your hands and your body. If you've done Reiki or spiritual healing, you may feel tingling. We all do. So if we do, for instance, we rub our palms together and we feel the energy field. That's all it is. It's connecting with universal energy. So we're connecting with the aura, the energy of the flower or the picture, the photo, and we're just asking permission to work with it. And perhaps you could just, the first few times, write down what you're feeling, what you're sensing. You could ask questions. What does the flower got to say to you today? So that's one way to get into this. And of course, once you've finished, thank the flower, thank the diva, thank the spirit. The next thing we can look at is colours and chakras. If you want to work with chakras, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine. We all associate colours naturally, like red perhaps for anger, red for passion, yellow for the sun, green for nature, orange for vitality, pink for romance. So yes, you don't need to be a colour therapy expert to start off. But I have a book here. It's called Fortune Telling Book of Colours, and it's a very good start to looking into colour therapy and colours. And that's not bad. It's second hand. I got it off eBay, I think, or Amazon. It was £8, and that has got almost anything you could imagine about colours around the world, superstitions. Some of these things are quite amusing actually. Star signs, colours of birds. So the meaning of flower colours. So yes, the meaning of flower colours we have here. For instance, it says here, pink, dreamy first love, grace, innocence, happiness, sympathy, sweetness, flowers to try, roses, tulips, petunias, alyssum, lilies, cherry blossoms, primroses and hyacinths. Lavender colour, love at first sight, refinement, grace, elegance, a delicate old-fashioned nature, flowers to try, roses, hydrangeas, iris, lilacs, lavender. And then we've got burgundy, stormy, passionate love, flowers to try, roses, amaryllis, peonies, orchids. So and then we've got coral, desire. So we've got different shades. Birds, the portents of birds, red birds, good luck is ahead, orange birds, excitement and great happiness await you. So this grey birds, peace and contentment will be yours. Black, difficulties lie ahead. So I would recommend looking into colour therapy, some basics, and writing yourself a list of what you associate colours to mean for you, positives, negatives and indifferent. But I say this book's, the Fortune Telling Book of Colours, is a nice introduction if you can get it. I think it's by K.C. Jones, Chronicle Books, San Francisco. Of course there's other colour therapy books, but if you just go on Pinterest or Google, I'm sure you can find some basic meanings of colours. It's up to you how far you go into it. Right. So that's the colours. Now we have 4 flower families, the basic 4 flower families. The first one is bulbs, corms and tubers. Then we have annuals and biennials. We have perennials and wild flowers. So bulbs, corms and tuners represent the past. So these are things that generally come up every year, don't they? I think most bulbs come up every year. So you've got like your daffodils, and what other bulbs have we? Loads and loads of bulbs. Yeah, they come up every year and they represent the past. If you think about a daffodil, they can be years and years old, can't they? So if you picked say a daffodil in a reading for somebody, then you could think about the past. That could be something that sticks in your mind, so that this person thinks about the past a lot, or connected to their past, connected to their roots, maybe even their family tree. I also know that daffodils are communication, so that gives you some clues already. You could think about the colour yellow. The yellow is nervous system, maybe nervous about communications about the past. You could fit like a little story together. Then we have annuals and biennials. So annuals only come up once a year. Perhaps we do them from seed usually, or biennials, they come up every other year, I think, every 2 years. So these probably be things like Busy Lizzies and what other annuals? The things you sort of, flowers you put in your hanging baskets, that sort of thing, petunias. And they mean joy in the present. So we are living in the present with these. Perennials, they come up every year. They're your long-term plants. Quite a lot in the garden you'll find are perennials, like lots of bushes, your hydrangeas, everything, your buddleias, your roses, they're all loads. Most flowers are perennials, I would say, and they mean abundance and the future. And then we have wild flowers. So these are the, obviously you could have them in your garden, but these are what you find out right in nature, like your bluebells and your foxgloves perhaps. And they mean your hidden talents and your true self. So it's like the wild part of you, the bit that it's like your dreams, isn't it? Okay, then we have the shapes of flowers. So I will try to insert some pictures into this section. So flowers fall into 8 shape categories. We have the star, for example, iris and St. John's wort, and they represent inspiration, expansion and opening to new ideas. Then we have bells. These, for example, are bluebells, bleeding heart and fuchsia, and they represent need for grounding. Now the bells, they tend to spiral downwards, so they're facing the earth. So that represents a need for grounding and rooting. And bleeding heart can mean that represents, you know, unhappiness, lost love type of thing. Cups, the third category, cups, we have, for example, poppies, rose and lotus, and that means learning to listen to intuition and higher self. And I imagine a lot of you know about the lotus flower as a symbol, spiritual symbol. We have it in the yoga. Then we have the drooping sprays, for example, the grasses and the orchids. and they represent flexibility and spontaneity. We have the radiating petals, for example, sunflower, daisy, chrysanthemum, and they represent self-confidence and personal flower. So if you're drawn to a sunflower, you probably need lifting up, cheering up, more confidence. Daisy is innocence. So these type of flowers here represent being more optimistic and confident and cheerful. Then we have what we call the umbels, and they are what we're more sort of like herb type flowers, yarrow and parsley, and they represent mental overload, responsibility and stress. Then we have pointed flowers, and they are, for example, lavender, buddleia and sage, and they represent focusing on goals. And finally we have the trumpets, such as lily and daffodil, and like I said before, they represent communication. And all of you noticed how the lilies are quite bold and loud, especially the stargazer ones. They say, "Here I am," and they, yes, it's about being bold and communication, being a bit more out there. And yeah, like I said before, when flowers aren't in season, we can use cards or photos. Right, the parts of a flower. We have the blossom. Does it appear young and sprightly? Is it fading? So, this beautiful pink flower here. It's not important to know the names of flowers. If we know them, that's fine. If we don't, that's fine too. Yeah, we can see this one's quite young and sprightly and bold. I've had them out of water for a bit, so we've got a bit of it's drooping a bit just here, but that's quite a healthy flower. So if you picked for that one for somebody, that would represent somebody that was quite had a young outlook at the moment. We have this one here. We have a bunch here, a bunch. This is a beautiful deep colour. This person would be quite passionate, I would say, going by the colour, the burgundy colour, quite passionate. If he was focusing on love, there might be a few suitors around. So yeah, it's not really full flowers as such, but it's quite healthy, a healthy passion there, but maybe a few suitors around. We have some buds as well, some buds, some potential to fulfill. Right, and then we have the stalk, which represents one's life path. A narrow stalk could indicate the straightforward road ahead. A curved stalk, unexpected opportunities. So this flower here, that's how we're going to do this. So as you can see, it starts off straight and then it curves slightly. So it shows we can't predict like long or short lives, but the spiritual life of the person. So the bottom is when you're born. So quite straightforward, but in later life, some unexpected changes, opportunities. This person is going to come into their flower. They're going to flower and blossom in middle age, older age, I would say. Right, have we got any more? Where is this one? Oh yes, well this one's curving as well. So yeah, if this I picked these, I bought these. Well, actually, I had them delivered from the supermarket yesterday, and obviously these are for me. So I'm coming more into my own as I get older. I wouldn't say that my life has been straightforward though, but reading for somebody else though. yes, opportunities in later life. Right, leaves. A few leaves, just a few different paths you can take. No leaves, fewer opportunities but enhanced security. It means you're determined and have clear goals in mind. Leaves at the base of the plant, opportunities early on in life. So we have a lot of leaves here, which represents loads and loads of opportunities. This is the type of person that into everything, a bit like me, jack of all trades, master of none. But it means they don't very often get stuck. Whereas this person knows what they want in life. No leads at all. This person can switch and change, has many opportunities. Doesn't mean that the person that has little opportunities is dull, boring, or not very enterprising. They just know what they want and they're going to get it. Right, roots, the beginning of the life path, and choices, but nothing is set in stone. So these are all the bottoms of these, the roots are quite straight. If you've got a plant that had been pulled out of the ground, you'd probably be able to see that better. So I'd pay attention to what's at the base of the flower, the roots. We've got the rose here, beautiful rose. Now the hips aren't very pronounced, very thorny, so it's not that prickly. So to say it's a rose, we're not that prickly. So that is a good sign, I would say. Right. Right. One of the things you can do, if you don't know which flower to go for, you could use your pendulum. So just, you know, do I need this flower, for instance? Do I need this flower? You could ask yes or no, set your direction. Or you can go around with the pendulum and feel the strongest draw. Other ways of choosing flowers. Go for the one you like the look of today. Alternatively, go for the one you don't like, because that's probably telling you something, an aspect of yourself that you don't want to deal with. And then you could look up the flower. So that's basically, in a nutshell, what you can look at with the flowers themselves. I would recommend doing some of your own, a lot of research, writing things down, keeping a record book, and then typing it all out and printing it. That's what I tend to do, alphabetical A to Z. And we do have a Z, we have a Z or Z, we have a zinnia, don't we? So writing a list of the flowers and some meanings you can find out. And if that doesn't sit with you, your own meanings from past experiences. So some courses. I recommend a course from a company called the Centre of Excellence. I don't work for them, have any affiliation with them whatsoever. I've just done a few courses with them. Centre of Excellence, they're a British company, but people from abroad, other countries can do them. And you can get vouchers, they always have special offers on them. They're usually about £30. And that's a course called Flower Psychometry. You can take the exam, do the assignments if you want to, or I don't usually bother, I just want the information. and that's quite a good course. There's a more expensive course from BSY, British School of Yoga. Of course, you can probably do that online. I did mine several years ago, where you had to send it through the post to the teacher. That's a good course. That has quite a lot of stuff on advanced flower card readings. Then we have Robert Reeves, and that's more a healing course. I've trained with him online. I can't remember what his website is, but if you Google Robert Reeves flower therapy, he actually teaches you how to do putting flowers on the body, and that type of thing, and that's very much a healing course. But he does work with some cards and things, and yes, as I say, I've trained with him, and you get an attunement with that to all different flowers, so you'll be able to do healing on other people as well as yourself, with call on the fairies and angels and spirit guides of the flower to work with them to heal yourself and others. I'm in the process. I've got about 30 videos to set healing to, which you can look at for free in the coming weeks. Different aspects of healing with flowers for all different types of situations, so look out for that. There's going to be a lot of videos on flowers in the coming weeks. So that's 3 courses I would recommend. Books, as I say, we've got the fortune telling book of colours. That's very useful. Most of these books are out probably second hand, but a few of them. This one's called Flower Readings, Discover Your True Self Through the Ancient Art of Flower Psychometry by Susie Chiazzari. That I got that second hand off eBay or Amazon. eBay would it be eBay, wouldn't it? And that goes through some of the things I've mentioned. Other books go through like things like Bach flower remedies and more history of flower reading. Some of them mention the Victorian language of flowers. This one mentions flowers as mandalas. There's a lot of work we can do with, sorry, I can't quite get that down. Lots of things we can practice with flowers. It mentions Kirlian photography and aura imaging. Flower essence auras, so that's quite a good book. Got this is a more stylized book, I would say. It's a lovely book. I don't know if I'm going to keep it, because it's Shane Connolly, Discovering the Meaning of Flowers. I would say it's very stylized. I was hoping for more meanings of the flowers, what they actually mean. But it's a beautiful book, quite pricey, about £20. Yep. It's got some beautiful photos, some bits about flower arranging. I think the chap is quite a famous flower arranger. We do get some meanings. We get some meanings in the text. I don't know if I'm going to keep that one, as it's very glossy, but I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't have more meanings. Now these two are my favourite books. This one is by the chap I just mentioned, Robert Reeves. Now he started out with Doreen Virtue, and as a lot of you will know, Doreen Virtue has dissociated herself with all these spiritual systems, like she used to make all the oracle cards. She's written quite a few books. She's dissociated herself with that now, and now has become a Christian. That's fine, but so Robert has carried this on, and it's very much his realm now. He's a lovely person, and it's called Flower Therapy. Welcome to the angels of nature into your life. Hopefully you'll be able to get that. I think this might be second hand as well. It's best to just see if people can trade with you or look out for it. This is really good. It has let me just go through it. But caring for your flowers, the flower picking ceremony, flower therapy, healing methods, chakra balancing, flower essences and infusions. And then we have the main directory, which I work with all the time. We have like African violet here, botanical name, energetic properties, associated archangels, associated chakras. And then we've got the healing description. African violets are wonderful for healers and psychics because they are excellent cleansers of old heavy energy. They're great at cleaning spaces such as homes and offices, as well as your own physical body. So we have a dictionary of quite a lot of flowers and their meanings. And yes, and then at the back we've got a little quick guide. Oops, there we go. So it says like for addictions, releasing addictions, we've got agapanthus, iris and white magnolia. Angels, connecting with angels, bird of paradise, frangipani, gardenia, lotus, passion flower, etc. Now this, I think this book is the best one. It's called Flowerpedia, 1000 Flowers and Their Meanings by Cherilyn Darcy. Cherilyn Darcy is an expert on flowers. You may have come across her. This book has got probably most flowers in. She's Australian, so you may come across quite a lot of Australian flowers. There's not many that I've not found. That's not very clear, but yeah, it's got an A to Z. So for instance, on here we've got crocus, time to love again, let go of pain, breathe, glee, mirth, youthfulness, gladness, cheerfulness, protection, calm, peace of mind, support, happiness, let's play. Lily of the valley, be happy, choose the right path, life purpose, happiness, innocence, purity of heart, humility, chastity, sweetness, look in love, physical transition and calming. Then we've got some interesting resources at the back. We've got anniversary flowers, flowers for days of the week, flowers of the month, flowers of the zodiac, national flowers, Scottish clans, American states, gods, goddesses and other beings. This bit's interesting. So for instance, let's have a look. Belladonna is associated with the gods and goddesses Atropos, Bellona, Circe and Hecate. Hollyhock is associated with Althea. And violet is associated with Aphrodite, Attis, Diana, Io, Priapus, Venus and Zeus. So that's something you could specialise in. You could find out more about that. We have saints. Saint David is the daffodil. Saint John is St John's wort. Now that's should know that really, shouldn't I? Saint Valentine is crocus. Now that's a new one, isn't it? That's interesting because in Britain the crocus has come out in February, St. Valentine's Day. So that's quite an interesting. We have Chinese rose numbers, and then we have a botanical name index. So that's probably the best dictionary you can find on flowers. And then this is a new one I've got recently. It's called The Language of House Plants, Plants for Home and Healing by Cherilyn Darcy. I have not looked at this yet much, but it's very interesting. It's kind of the same lines as the other book. And so we've got Boston Fern, and that will tell you the meanings. Look, abundance, truth, protection and direction. Uses, care, profile, container and soil, position and light, water, food, pruning and grooming. Yeah. So that's an interesting book. Decks. If you are into oracle decks, we have the flower therapy deck that accompanies this, and we have, that's good, these are the ones I've got. We've got Botanical Inspirations by Lynn Arajulo, and I've got a couple more that were second hand, but there are a lot of flower decks coming out at the moment. If you want to go down that road, that's a good way to learn some flowers. There's some nice second-hand ones you could perhaps get Victorian, or based on the Victorian language of flowers. The thing is with decks is they only have a certain amount of flowers, and the meanings might not correspond to what you have learnt before, so I wouldn't just rely on them, because it might make you a bit stuck on your readings. Perhaps if you only know a certain amount of flowers, I wouldn't recommend making your own list. So this has been quite a bit longer than a basic video, but I hope it helps. And flowers are beautiful, and things we can do with them is amazing. So if you want to read flowers for others, don't be scared, don't be overwhelmed. If you want to ask questions, leave some comments in the box below. I'm not an expert, I get a bit overwhelmed with it at times, but obviously by things like when people make videos for other people, they're learning themselves as they go along. You think, oh my God, I was overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed at times. So there's things not to be frightened or overwhelmed by anything. We're all here to learn and to teach others. So I hope that helps, and you've enjoyed learning a bit about what you can find out about flower readings. And so I'll see you soon. Bye.